Welcome to This Week in the News here on Zodiak. I am Sibongile Ziambo. The top stories making headlines. Ombudsman probe on South African lawyers' deal exposes malpractices by some seniors in the law profession. TUM refuses to bow down to calls to end strike after lengthy discussions with government over COVID-19 risk allowance. Over 30 candidates express interest to take up the position of SCB Director General. And in entertainment, reggae music lovers world over mourn the death of legendary music icon Barney Weller. Stay with us for these and many more. Ombudsman Martha Chizuma on Thursday released an investigation report on South African lawyers' deal, which has exposed conduct of moral decay by some senior counsels in the country's law profession. The Ombudsman found former Malawi Law Commission MEC Chairperson Justice Dr. Jenansa and Attorney General Kaleke Nkapali at fault in the manner they handled the deal. Chizuma consequently ordered the two in the report to refund 3 million kwacha, which the commission spent on the lawyers when they were in the country. Madatopiri filed this report.
Speaking when she presented the report titled Upholding the Profession, Ombudsman Martha Chizuma outlined some of the abuses of office and illegal moves taken by former MEC Chairperson Jenansa and the then Attorney General Kaleke Nkapali in their procurement of services of the South African lawyers.
For starters, they engaged and even handed over the material from the Constitutional Court, made the lawyers in South Africa sign the retainer agreement way before the procurement process had even begun in this country. They even facilitated the travel of these South African lawyers to Malawi way before the procurement process had begun, and even an approval to proceed with the single sourcing had even begun. In as far as the former Attorney General is concerned, he even involved himself despite the Constitutional Court judgment condemning him for acting for MEC.
Chizuma added that although the 600 million kwacha was never paid to the South African lawyers, taxpayers' money amounting to 3.15 million kwacha was spent on the lawyers, and that the two must refund before the end of May this year. Among other findings, the Ombudsman has also faulted former Chief Secretary to the government, Lloyd Muhawa, on how one of former President Peter Mutharika's lawyers, Madalitso Meta, was appointed chairperson of the Public Procurement and Disposal of Assets, who the report says in the end bulldozed the institution to give a no objection on the lawyer's contract. And in his reaction, Amos Mwera, who is the programs manager for Youth and Society, the organization that lodged a formal complaint that triggered the investigation, said they were happy with the findings.
We believe that this will serve as a lesson to those people that are serving in public offices. They should know that they are there for the people of this country, and they should be acting professionally. In the end, Mboweni Maluleke lawyers did not represent MEC as they were denied admission by the courts. For Zodiak, this is Madalitso Piri reporting.
The stalemate on COVID-19 risk allowance between government and Teachers Union of Malawi is refusing to die, with TUM leadership maintaining stand on sustaining sitting in spite of an announcement by the government that the industrial action is over. Principal Secretary and the Minister of Education, responsible for administration, Kinsto Dakamau, said on Friday that the two parties reached a consensus after lengthy discussions on the risk allowance and general teachers' welfare during the week. Here's part of what he said.
Malawians are aware that the ministry and the two national executives were in a meeting for 3 days. We started on a Tuesday and finished around 1 a.m. on Tuesday. On Wednesday, the same thing. We finished around 1 a.m. And yesterday, they had their own internal meeting. And after that, we resumed and finished around 6 p.m. TUM was represented by 15 national executive members together with the president. It's like they were 16. And from the government side, we had all the directors in the ministry, and also as a witness, we had the commissioner for labor. So we want to thank TUM very, very much for availing themselves to that meeting and the commitment, for being together for a period of 3 days. It was not easy. It required a lot of commitment. And all those national executive members were together. And after the meeting, we came up with the communique, or what others would call settlement agreement. And that is like minutes of our meeting. it shows what we mutually agreed during the meeting. And that's why we did that. The others are calling a press release. It means that both the TUM national executive and the ministry are comfortable.
The TUM president, Mr. Malimba, is now saying that he was forced to sign this letter, and we have just got hold of another communication from TUM that they are sustaining this strike. How would you react to this?
In the first place, I should say that the other communication as a party to the discussions, the other communication has not yet reached us. We are not aware of the new development.
Nonetheless, TUM President William Malimba alleged he was forced to sign a letter by the ministry officials to call off the teacher strike, which has been going on for 2 weeks. He added that the sit-in will continue until they start getting the allowances.
We are disregarding that letter. As a result, we are saying the strike is going on. And from there, the leaders went away. And after that one, I had a trip to go to the hospital to see my friend. When I was there, the PS called me. Where are you? I said, I'm seeing my friend at the hospital. And he came there. When he came there, he said, no, I've come here. We want you to go at press and announce. Then I said, no, Mr. PS. What I'm trying to do, I want to normalize these things. We are trying to do everything possible. We are too committed on this issue so that our learners should go back to work. But I think you don't understand us. You want us to just to use shortcuts. No. This issue we cannot use the shortcuts. We need to finalize this. When a teacher is going back to work, should go freely. Because you can force this one to go to work, and he or she can go there just staying in class without working, just sitting in without doing anything. So he forced me, and on the way, I received a call with the PS. I was with the PS. I received a call from Mitch. Because I was with PS, and he knew that this is from media. He said, no, can you announce it there that the strike has been called off? But I told the media the genesis of the whole issue. That's the only media I talked to. And later on, I told in the media that no, I wanted to correct something because I was at a certain place. But that I left that one because it was online. Now today, that time, after the leaders left, we were preparing our document following the resolutions of that meeting. And today, we have released that document. And the document is saying, we are still on strike.
Now, concerned with the impact of the teacher strike on their education, some learners in Lilongwe took to the streets on Monday, calling for an end to the action. Police had to intervene to disperse hundreds of the learners from some public primary and secondary schools that were protesting, blocking the road from Bingu National Stadium and Parliament, causing traffic jam in the process. We have this report by Andrew Viano.
Police dispersed hundreds of learners from some public primary and secondary schools in Lilongwe on Monday who took to the streets asking authorities to address their teachers' grievances on risk allowances so that they can resume classes. The learners blocked the Presidential Way, which connects the Bingu National Stadium and Parliament, causing traffic jam along the road. Some even went further, pelting stones at road users, mostly vehicles. Clad in various school uniforms, the learners from about 5 schools in Area 25 and Area 49 chanted songs that had one clear message: government should address teachers' concerns.
We have been at home during these 6 months, and we have just opened, and we haven't been in class since last week. We've just been in classes praying, and others are at home who are doing nothing.
All we need is that we just want the government to afford the risk allowance to our teachers, so that as soon as possible we should start learning soon, because the examination that we are going to write, it will be the same.
In Blantyre and in Zuzu, the situation was not any different, as learners were also seen loitering around during the time they were expected to be in class, as their teachers continued with strike. Teachers, through their mother body Teachers Union of Malawi, have stood their ground, demanding that government should give them risk allowances as the country wrestles with the global pandemic, or else they will not start teaching.
Saying on COVID-19, the much-touted AstraZeneca vaccine for the disease arrived in the country Friday through Kamuzu International Airport in Lilongwe, with the Minister of Health imploring Malawians not to relax in observing containment rules. We had this report.
Minister of Health Kumbize Chiponda says news of the arrival of the COVID-19 vaccine should not result in laxity in observing preventive measures. Chiponda has stated that the vaccine should, however, present every reason to Malawians to ensure that the country does not slide in a COVID-19 health crisis. She described the consignment as a window through which Malawians should hope that life will return to normal. United Nations country representative Maria Jose Torres has said the most paramount to happen in the country is that Malawians should be vaccinated to save all lives.
So we are extremely pleased to see that Malawi is the 10th country in Africa receiving the COVAX vaccine. So you should be proud, because that's speaking to the good work that the health authorities have done to get the rollout plan ready. As you know, this is 20% of the total population of Malawi. This is the first batch, and is intended to provide vaccination for the healthcare workers that, as you know well, are the ones who are in the front line and have been suffering most in terms of infections and also death cases.
And UNICEF country representative Rudolf Schwenk says that there is need for proper vaccination if it is going to be effective, and has since appealed to all Malawians to heed the call to take the jab so that life returns to normal as soon as possible. 360,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine has arrived in the country following 360 injections that UNICEF provided in the country. UNICEF, WHO, Gavi and CEPI is facilitating all this, while in the country, UNICEF is in the forefront.
The nation on March 3 commemorated Mother's Day, with President Lazarus Chakwera calling on Malawians to deepen their passion on nation building in honor of the country's martyrs who fought for the better Malawi. Western Gura gave us this report.
Speaking at Kamuzu Palace in Lilongwe, President Lazarus Chakwera said that the 3rd March of 1959 is a day to remember and honor the struggle that claimed lives of many Malawians that resisted the oppressive colonial rule. He said that the historic struggles that started way back in 1891 through generations to 1959 cleared the path for the creation of the new and independent Malawi. Going down the memory lane, President Chakwera mentioned the 11 people that died and 72 that were injured in Cholo, the Kanyama, Chipembere and Chisizas that ignited the uprising in 1957, the coming in of the first President Hastings Kamuzubanda as examples of the freedom fighters. He also mentioned the 1959 protests of not less than 1,000 people on 3rd March, where 59 people were killed in Nkata Bay. Chakwera then said that to honor the freedom fighters, Malawians should emulate their selfless lives to build a new Malawi that will benefit future generations.
We must remember that that uprising was many years in the making. It was but the harvest of seeds of liberation that had started germinating in the years immediately after 1891, when British established the British Central Africa Protectorate, which was renamed Nyasaland in 1907.
The event was also attended by Vice President Saulos Chilima, among other senior government officials. Reporting for Zodiak in Lilongwe, this is Western Guta.
Earlier in the week, Malawi Electoral Commission disclosed that government has released 2.6 billion kwacha for the holding of the by-elections in 7 constituencies and 2 wards. MEC Director of Media and Public Relations Sangwani Mwafulirwa said the funds have been released in tandem with MEC's budget for holding of the by-elections this month on the 30th. Alfred Guda reports.
Malawi Electoral Commission Director of Media and Public Relations Sangwani Mwafulirwa told Zodiak Monday the electoral body is financially safe ahead of the by-elections. Mwafulirwa says the government has since released 2.6 billion kwacha for holding of the by-elections in 7 constituencies and 2 wards.
We have received a funding of 2.6 billion from the government. This is according to the budget which the commission had submitted, and we have been funded in entirety. So there is no deficit outstanding regarding how we or what we need to hold these by-elections.
MEC will hold the by-elections on March 30, 2021. The by-elections will be held in Nsanje North Constituency, Nsanje Central Constituency, Chikwawa East Constituency, Nchisi North, Lilongwe Nsinya South, Karonga North West, and Zomba Changalume constituencies, and also from the 2 wards of Rivilizi in Balaka and Chitagale in Mulanje districts. The by-elections in the Lower Shire follow High Court's February 4, 2021 judgment, which nullified 2019 parliamentary elections in the 3 constituencies. For Zodiac, this is Alfred Guta reporting.
In Parliament this week, verbal war erupted between the Tonse Alliance and DPP members of Parliament over affordable passports. It all started in the August House on Monday when the DPP spokesperson on finance, Joseph Mwanaveka, accused the Tonse government that it was failing to fulfill its campaign promises, one of which is the provision of affordable passports. But Minister of Homeland Security Richard Chimwendo retorted by claiming that it is failing to start issuing the new affordable passports because of the outstanding $60 million contract that the DPP regime signed with a foreign firm. Western Gura was there.
While reacting to the media budget, DPP spokesperson on finance, Joseph Mwanaveka, said the Tonse government has failed to fulfill its campaign promises as there are no indicators in the current budget, citing reducing passport processing fees. But Leader of the House, Richard Chimwendo Banda, rose and criticized Mwanaveka that the passport issue he had raised encountered some challenges that included the DPP signed $60 million project with a foreign company to supply 800,000 passports, which Tonse administration is rectifying, which is too costly. Chimwendo said government is committed to fulfilling the promise.
That's a contract which is standing as an obligation. That does not mean we will not reduce the fees. I was asking him to get reminded of the contract he actually saw himself through his hands, that you should know what you did. And we are now finding a lasting solution around the very same contract, because an obligation made by the other government is still an obligation for this government.
However, Mwanaveka denies any knowledge of the passport contract scam and insisted that it is not the DPP's business how the Tonse government will deliver.
I've seen the same minister in the past cancelling contracts. There have been announcements. Well, if indeed they think that it's not a good contract, why can they cancel? Remember also they were criticizing even the issue of genset. And I'm sure by the time they were promising, they should have done their homework. They should have known what is on the ground. During its campaign period, the Tonse administration touted that it would reduce passport processing fees once ushered into power. Reporting for Zodiak in Lilongwe, this is Western Guta.
To the court, suspended Chief Executive Officer for Malawi Energy Regulatory Authority MERA, Collins Magalasi, and 3 others pleaded not guilty to all 16 counts in a case they were accused of mismanaging over 100 million kwacha. The state, through Director of Public Prosecutions, Dr. Stephen Kayuni, said the accused were brought in court in Lilongwe that the state will parade 9 witnesses. In another case at the court, Deputy Director for the Department of Disaster Management Affairs and 15 others were granted court bail in a case alleged of mismanaging COVID funds. Winston Kaimina was at the court.
The case of suspended Chief Executive Officer for the Malawi Energy Regulatory Authority MERA, Collins Magalasi, and 3 others was in court for plea taking. They have all pleaded not guilty to the charges. Director of Public Prosecutions, Dr. Stephen Kayuni, says the state is ready to parade 9 witnesses. It is alleged that a contract was dubiously granted to Dorothy Shonga, popularly known as Cash Madam. Chief Resident Magistrate Patrick Chirwa has since adjourned the case to 27th April 2021. Meanwhile, the magistrate has granted bail to 16 officials from the Department of Disaster Management Affairs in the case of allegedly abusing COVID-19 funds. The 16, who include Deputy Director at Dodma, Xiaopi Mafongo, will be reporting to National Police Headquarters every 2 weeks and are required to inform police if they want to leave Lilongwe, among other bail conditions. This is Winston Kaimira for Zodiac.
And still, the courts on Thursday, Lilongwe Magistrate Court denied bail to Stuart Kalungama. He was arrested on suspicion that he has been defiling his 9-year stepdaughter. The suspect was arrested Tuesday at Biwi Township in Lilongwe, where he stays. Angry protesters, mostly women, thronged the court premises demanding stiff punishment for the suspect.
On Tuesday this week, police in Lilongwe arrested Stuart Kalungama, who is alleged to have been defiling his 9-year-old stepdaughter for close to a year. While police are still gathering more information, child rights activists are concerned with increasing cases of rape and defilement involving close family relations. They lament this is hindering efforts to curb the malpractice. Activist Jennifer Mkandawire is advocating for a life sentence for such perpetrators.
I'm looking forward to the conviction of the man, and I would really want to see that he has been punished even for a life imprisonment.
Esime Mbenu of Family Rights, Elderly and Child Protection is equally hoping for a punishment that will send a stronger warning like never before.
I would also ask the Ministry of Gender to intervene by removing the child from the abusive home to avoid the biological mother and the step parent or their relatives to bar them from robbing the mind of the child, so that she can able to testify in court that they should impose the stiffest sentence they can.
In 2020, Malawi experienced a rise in rape and defilement cases, which saw organizations strengthening efforts to protecting girls who are most vulnerable. For Zodiac in Lilongwe, this is Western Guta.
You're watching This Week in the News on Zodiac. We have more after the break. Stay with us.
For a better tomorrow, don't forget to do the 1, 2, 3 with Colgate every night.
If there's one thing that all soaps do, it's wash. From buckets to basins, bathrooms to streams, and everything in between.
All soaps wash.
Yes, but Protex is different. Its reinvented formula with flaxseed oil boosts your skin's natural anti-germ defenses by 10 times more, protecting you against 99.9% of germs. So what keeps us healthy?
Protex!
Good health starts here.
Welcome back. The headlines as we continue this week in the news. Ombudsman's probe on South African lawyers' deal exposes malpractices by some seniors in the law profession. TUM refuses to bow down to calls to end strike after lengthy discussions with government over COVID-19 risk allowances. Over 30 candidates express interest to take up the position of SCB Director General. In entertainment, reggae music lovers world over mourn the death of legendary music icon Bunny Wailer. Ministry of Justice disclosed on Monday that it has received 35 applications from people that are interested to take up the position of Anti-Corruption Bureau Director General. Spokesperson in the ministry, Pilan Masanjala, told us the Ministry of Justice has already instituted a 7-member panel to do the shortlisting for the interviews. The position fell vacant in December last year following expiry of tenure of office for Mr. Renek Matemba. Hapinjaramano filed this report.
Government is in the process of finding replacement of Renek Matemba, who ceased to be Director of Anti-Corruption Bureau ACB in December last year upon expiry of his term. Spokesperson in the Ministry of Justice, Pilan Masanjala, says so far 35 candidates have applied for the post. According to the Corrupt Practice Act, Justice Minister is mandated to set up a panel of 7 members to do the shortlisting, a task which Masanjala says has already been done. Masanjala says there are prospects that the shortlisting for the interviews will be done by next week or thereafter. On recruitment of the ACB Director General, the law mandates the minister to send to the president a minimum of 2 and maximum of 3 names shortlisted by the panel for the president to appoint one. In an event that the president is not satisfied with the names, the law mandates him to send them back to the minister with reasons for his rejection, and the post gets re-advertised. Human Rights Defenders Coalition earlier told us that the graft-busting body has a huge task that requires an unpartisan professional to complete.
Loma chiefs have warned of cracks within the Mulakwa Lomekacho grouping if its trustees go ahead with plans of imposing Senior Chief Kaduya of Palombe on them as their paramount chief. The chiefs led by Senior Chief Nkulambe of Palombe told Zodiak on Monday that Senior Chief Kaduya is of Manganje tribe and therefore not fit to lead them. But Mulakwa Loma Chief Executive Officer Pasim Venya has downplayed the issue, saying it is an in-house one which will be resolved within. And Minister of Energy on Monday warned independent power producers that their licenses will be revoked if they fail to roll out operations in the country. Minister responsible Newton Kambala told us that only 3 out of 10 companies that signed an agreement with government to start producing power started their operations. In entertainment news, reggae music lovers across the globe were saddened with news about the death of one of reggae's most prolific voices, Bunny Wailer. He died on Tuesday at the age of 73. The musician from Kingston, Jamaica, was a founding member of the Wailers alongside his childhood friend, Bob Marley.
Neville O'Reilly Livingston OM was born on 10th April and was professionally known as Bunny Wailer. He was a Jamaican singer, songwriter, and percussionist. Bunny was an original member of reggae group The Wailers, along with Bob Marley and Peter Tosh. A 3-time Grammy Award winner, he is considered one of the long-time standard bearers of reggae music. In October 2017, he was awarded the Order of Merit by the Jamaican government, the nation's 4th highest honor. In November 2019, Wailer received a Pinnacle Award in New York from the Coalition to Preserve Reggae Music. In October 2018, Wailer suffered a minor stroke, resulting in speech problems. After suffering another stroke in July 2020, he was hospitalized at Andrews Memorial Hospital in St. Andrews Parish, where he eventually died on 2nd March 1974.
That's all we had time for in this week edition. A reminder of some of the top stories before we leave you. Ombudsman probe on South African lawyers due exposes malpractices by some seniors in the law profession. TUM refuses to bow down to calls to end strike after lengthy discussions with government over COVID-19 risk allowance. Over 30 candidates expressed interest to take up the position of ACB Director General. And in entertainment, reggae music lovers world over mourn the death of legendary music icon Bunny Wailer. Visit our website for more news. I am Sibongile Ziambo. Remember to stay safe by observing all COVID-19 preventive measures to contain its spread. Bye for now.
Let's take a moment to talk about money.